Welcome, guys, to another installation of Generation Great. We are on episode 18. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
I thought we would have been cancelled by now. But anyway, I would like to introduce myself. My name is CIM. But anyway, you good.
Yeah, if they've been watching long enough, they already know me.
Yeah, man. We come from a very fire episode last week. Last week's episode left me, I don't know.
Yourself.
Questioning my identity. Yeah, but I mean, like we said, this is a space for semi-mediocre, intelligent conversations.
Yep.
I got it right. So, man, obviously, house rules. We're going to do a quick check-in just to see what your week was like. I'll start this time.
What were you meditating on?
What I was meditating on right now is just putting in the work and not expecting results. I think the past few weeks I've actually been realizing that I've been putting so much pressure on myself in terms of just expecting results, because I've been like, I'm putting in so much work, but I'm getting less affirmation that I'm actually working, right? And strange enough, things just happen, and then you see the results bit by bit. You're like, oh, actually, I'm actually doing good, you know? So I think that's something I had to meditate on, to say, in as much as sometimes I'm in despair because I don't see the results that I want to see, and then I get discouraged, and then I'm like, what's the point? But there's always something that's happening in the background. And yeah, man, so that was it for me. Just continue to put in the work. Results are gonna come after.
That's very good.
Yeah. Your side?
I was thinking about a concept of borrowed confidence.
Sure.
I think a lot of people have borrowed confidence. They borrow confidence from what they do. They borrow confidence from what they wear, what they drive, where they live. Outside of that, they don't have confidence.
Sure.
You know? And I think it's a human thing. I'm not faulting anyone. I was just thinking about that as a concept.
Yeah.
I think that's why we buy, when you become successful or whatever, or you show signs, you borrow confidence from the thing. You borrow confidence from the brand that you're wearing. That's why people are so upset. That's why luxury brands are such a huge thing.
Yeah, because it's not only just the brand, it's the status
that comes from what you're wearing. So a lot of people have superficial confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And like, who are you when you don't have anything? Are you still confident? So I was thinking about that as a concept. I was thinking about how most people don't have confidence outside of things.
Yeah. Material things, because
things,
you then lose your confidence if it happens that you lose those things. So it actually makes sense that you need to build your confidence, true confidence on things that are,
and build confidence within yourself. So I was thinking about that as a concept, borrowed confidence.
It's such a good one. That I'm really going to meditate on that.
Yeah,
man. So this week our topic is we don't play. We always go for the controversial stuff. So this week is no difference. We are talking about substance abuse. And this also encompasses like alcohol, groove, nyaupe, which is a scourge, because we've actually, we stay in a hood where that is rife.
Very prevalent.
So that is quite prevalent in our society. And someone who's into drugs, and someone who's affected by drugs.
And someone who drinks every day.
You know what I mean?
Who has like an alcohol addiction.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about it now. I'm like, South Africa has a history of substance abuse, because we are actually, are we number 1 or number 2 on the list of countries who are
I think a stat did come with you
addicted to drugs.
Especially alcohol. I think we
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think we're number
How many
1.
countries do we have? 200 countries.
200
Over 200 countries. Yeah. And we are number 2. and what shocks me is the fact that we also are unemployed. And that always shocks me. I'm like, how do you...
For the higher...
how do we afford
for the high unemployment rates? We have very high rates of substance abuse.
For the high unemployment rate, we have a lot of high individuals in our country. So it's crazy.
What you did there.
It's crazy. But look, what are your thoughts? Because I have like a couple of thoughts around that.
I think we obviously cannot downplay where this stems from.
Sure.
The truth is, this substance addiction that we have stems from unemployment.
Sure.
Right? Okay, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But also, I think we also have to be accountable as the youth and as just a nation.
Sure.
I think we don't have a purpose, and a person who doesn't have a purpose will easily be
they'll feel lost.
They'll be lost, and in being lost, they will indulge in in certain behaviors that are not conducive to them. So I think people are escaping the lack of purpose and the lack of and the unemployment rather. So they're using these substances as an escape from the reality and from the pain they have in their lives. So it's not that they want to, but they have no purpose. Okay, I'm Hispanic, so what's my purpose in life? It's easier for me to be high and forget.
So this is then substance abuse comes in as a sort of like a coping mechanism or a crutch to say,
or they use it as an escape. That's what I think about why people use illegal substances. So what do you think about the topic?
Look, for me, me and emotions and all the things, I'll go the emotional route, because I think a lot of us, especially the youth, we don't have outlets. So for instance, when we're not feeling okay and when we feel like something is wrong with us, we then rather say, oh, let me go out and distress and then drink alcohol. So we don't have sort of a structure or an outlet for us to say, okay, if you feel like Anje, then I need to go to the gym and stuff like that. And as a country, in as much as we are slowly transitioning into therapy and, your mental wellness, but there's also some aspects of it that we don't want to admit. We don't want to admit that some of us, we have childhood trauma, and some of us don't have a healthy mechanism to cope. What's going on with me? We don't have a healthy mechanism to cope in terms of stress, anxiety, depression, and sometimes we usually just consume substance because we're bored. So our way of having fun is just go have a glass of something so that you loosen up, And also media encourages that, like, oh, if I'm having a bad day, let me just go have a glass of something to reward myself, right? Whereas a lot of other people are just like, I'll go to gym, I'll go running, I'll talk to someone, I'll also maybe speak to a therapist, because just to also digress, one thing I realized about obviously the black community is, baba bethu, we're also like that, because baba bebuya emsebenzini adlule eshipini or adlule like thenga utshwala, and then they will consume alcohol and come back home.
And at the time, it was because they're experiencing apartheid, the pressure
and stuff
from
like
work
that,
and
right?
whatnot.
The pressure from work. So the only place where you feel comfortable, or where it's an outlet for you, is with friends, and there's alcohol.
So are you saying this is inherited?
This is sort of like an inherited behavior, because I remember during lockdown, people couldn't go anywhere. But people were like, we need alcohol. We need to have something. We need cigarettes and stuff like that. And for me, that is alarming, because, are you saying you're at your comfort of your home and we have a pandemic and your only concern is alcohol and cigarette. So yes, in as much as we can say lack of purpose, but there are also behaviors that are learned, that are unconsciously, that we learn as we grow up, that ubaba udlulile waphuza wabuya ekhaya. So it's a normal part of life, ukuthi uzodlula kuphi uphuze and then come back home usuzolala, and that's it.
So at what point, okay, so I don't want to kind of like conflate the topics.
Sure.
Because there is addiction and there's what you're talking about, which is like just, can we call it debriefing or de-stressing? There are people who use alcohol just to, you know.
Yeah. But at what point can you say it's addiction? You're addicted.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to ask. At what point do we call it addiction? Is it
when you can't live without that? When your life is no longer, you're not functional without that substance? When you get to a space where you're like, yo, yas mangathola too, or if I can, yas angunakwai and stuff like that. So and does you in distress? Okay,
so does it matter how many cigarettes you've taken, for example, how many injections you've taken, as for example, or how many drinks did you take? What about 2 drinks are enough, but you're not that drunk? Is it still? Do you still consider it addiction?
No, but addiction? 2 drinks when every day.
Yeah,
or 2 drinks. Because we did 2 drinks per hour or exactly. 2 drinks a day.
So I want to understand, at which point do we call this addiction?
Addiction.
Is it an
that's actually a very good question. But I think addiction is different for each individual. Because that could, to someone who doesn't drink, that could be like, so every day you drink, you know. I remember I had a colleague who used to say, every time I'm shy, because we also work in a high stress environment. So, Jerry was, I'm a garage, I'm taking a 6-pack and I drink every day. I was so shocked. I was like, every day? You know, because for me, it's like, okay, you can have fun on weekends. Also, not you can have fun. Guys, Ninga, don't come for me. I'm not policing anyone and saying, Gumele uza enjoy on weekends. But I'm saying, for me, it was strange because I'm like, so this is a daily thing. Then it means if you can't find Leo 6-pack or that fix at that time, then something happens to you, you know. Then gradually it becomes part of your, part of your routine, and that's also the problem with routine.
So also you're talking about a very important thing, that addiction is also subconscious. You don't see when you start getting into that routine. I always tell lentwana who drink lean, with Nina, you're drug addicts. The way you behave. Let's look at how drug addicts behave first, right?
Sure.
They're always in a group, right? That's the first thing. They are always in a group. No, you're always in a group. No.
We are always in a group. What do you mean?
No, wait. That's the first thing, right?
Sure.
Let me cook, right?
Yeah.
Let me cook.
I'm gonna let you cook.
The second thing is mele nhlanganise.
Sure.
That's the second thing, right? That's the second thing. What's the third thing? The third thing, and then you chill nonke.
Sure.
Right. And then you drink, you smoke, whatever it is.
Sure.
Especially for hubbly smokers are in denial.
Yeah.
Hubbly smokers are druggies. Lean
Let
drinkers.
Me tell you.
People drink codeine lean. So lean basically is mixing codeine and Coke, and whatever
and Coke
it is.
Sprite,
Sprite, whatever. Soda beverage. And it gets you drowsy and you think you're Lil Wayne or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get back to the topic.
Do you just throw it in there that you think you're Lil Wayne?
Yeah, they think they're Lil Wayne or something, right? And all these people are in denial, and also how they behave. Let's nyaupe addicts. How do they behave? They chill together. Bayaphanda, bahlale baphanda, bahlale bathenga. You know, and people who do. Even people who drink alcohol, like these behaviors, they're a pattern everywhere.
Sure.
People who drink alcohol, what do? They try sespanini. Uyohlangana namachance. Already it's a groove. Bayahlanganisa, and they buy, and they bashaya 1, 2, 3,
sure.
So we can't just say it's it's just because you're doing something that's less that has less effect on your body,
then you're not addicted.
It's still an addiction.
It's still substance.
It's still substance.
Because even with
a
cigarette as well, it's still a substance, because the people who can't live without ubema, you know.
There's nicotine.
And the thing is also about substance is there are also elements to it that numb a certain feeling, or that numb. So
because
can we say coffee is
coffee is there are people who have
a coffee addiction.
There are people who have, but it's not as coffee has certain benefits.
But you see, what I don't like is the fact that we downplay it when it comes. There's nyaupe, there's whatever substance, and then there's alcohol, and then we're extreme. Like, but with alcohol, you understand. And for me, it's like, nah, but it's a substance, right? And you are bound to get addicted to it. Also, addiction is broad, because there's also food addiction. There's people who have bulimia. There's people who have all these other things. And yes, I in as much as I can't group them together, but too much of something
is always
bad for you.
But now we're specifically talking about substances. You know?
Yeah. But I'm saying, we then have a crisis in South Africa where we class all these substances and we say, oh, but this is better than alcohol, is better than alcohol is better than crack because of, or habli because of 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But there are dangers that are attached to you. If you are addicted to alcohol, it shows in your life in terms of, and you know, there's also things that you won't be aware of that are dangerous or harmful.
I think that's what comes with addiction. Sure. You are also unaware of how detrimental what you're consuming or what you're taking is.
Sure.
It's and also I don't want to say you're not aware. I think you're just in denial. You're like, nah, it's not affecting me as bad as I think it is. You're like, nah, I'll take 2 more drinks, you know. Sure. And also, you don't even understand the extent it affects your finances also. Because Lesin does this as really from the sky, you know.
Sure.
And we don't talk about how the people who profit from this don't care. You know, like they don't care. You have lung cancer, you know, because I know people, like they do like 5 sessions. So a session is basically a session of smoking habli. They do like 5. They call it a sesh. Yeah, session. So they smoke 5 cop. So that's 1 cop, 5
but
a day.
But does it get you high? Is it like
so it's I because I don't thingy. It doesn't get you high. It's like nicotine, basically, with habli. Okay. That's all what I can say. But the extreme is in Yaupe, where you have to, like, you know, they unconscious, you know, and also there's a lot of drugs.
Yeah, there's one thing I realize is a variety of drugs, and they treat you as differently. So obviously someone who,
and also people who are on those drugs don't behave the same.
Sure.
That's just
that's what I'm
no, there's a pattern. There is like a pattern, but they don't behave the same. People who drink alcohol but they're not, you know, you also see them they're afraid of water, they like cats or something.
Sure.
You know,
yeah. You would just say that. Why would you say that? But anyway, my next point then is, I completely agree with that statement that you said when you said lack of purpose. Because I think, what's the saying again? An idle mind
is a
devil's playground. So already you are in a system that does not favor you. Because Siaz and Pesek asked why townships were developed and what the intention behind that was. So already you're in an environment that does not allow you to thrive. And I'm not saying people don't thrive from it, but I'm saying we need to be honest about development. a lot of people don't invest ekas, and a lot of things don't go to ekas to portray positivism. Like, so already you're in a setup where the system is against you, and these things are accessible to you because
easily
in
accessible.
most cases, ama-drugs you would find them in suburbs or in places, in affluent places, but they're not as, the rate is not as ridiculously high as Elokshin.
The access is not as easy.
It's easy because also people get shocked. There's still that, wait, what, you do drugs, right?
And also your neighbor is like literally like a drug lord or something. And
there's always know. I was about to go there and say there's always someone who's selling drugs within like a 2 kilometer radius.
2 kilometers
and
is
let
far,
me tell you,
500 meters.
And let me tell you, people who know this, because people who know this, they know it, but nothing is being done, right? And so what I was saying also, what I was going to as well is, we are in an environment that also has those set up, and this is exposed to us. So whether awufuna or ufuna, you'll end up following suit because your friend would have joined, your other friend would have joined. So when uzohlala one, because basically there's also that thing of bazok outcast ukuthi but mfethu thina masiyada siyokwenza ukuthi. So you'll also give in to pressure, because a lot of the people get into it because of pressure. And not necessarily that you want to do it, but it's because it's accessible to you and you're exposed to it.
That's a very good point. I think I want us to get into, in as much as we have to talk about the adverse effects that it, like, substance abuse does not just have on the individual, but also why is the system allowing people? Because I think I have a conspiracy theory. Right?
Sure.
It is by purpose. Inyaupe is not like illegal.
Definitely. That
they already, like, Angiti, already you're defeated. They're just killing your purpose for you to have drive. Because the moment you have that, you're dangerous. You'll want to aspire to greater things, right? You'll want economic participation, right? You have drive, So by you not having a purpose, by you being unemployed and taking drugs, you are leaving a
controlled life. Because you can't think outside of that. There's this rat race that you are in,
your drivers,
or this maze that you are in. So you can't think about high value.
You basically have no drive to aspire to be better than who you were, and that's dangerous for the system, because you'll want to take out people who are in power. But that's just my conspiracy theory.
Let me tell you,
I think we should go to part two.
Yeah.
We're still good. Okay.
Let me tell you my conspiracy theory. My theory is there's someone who's paid high up there who makes sure that these things get here, because some of the things are not actually manufactured here, or if they are, then I don't know. But for me, it's that thing of, I find it really strange when all the black communities are drug infested in the States.
Alcohol infested.
There's drugs.
Yeah.
There's illegal firearms. All the things that are obviously used to kill the black nation. And I'm not trying to be like pro. Yes, I'm pro-black, but this is also my theory, Guti. There's someone who is in charge of saying, look, give them this. Give them alcohol. Give these things. Let these things be accessible to them.
Self-destruction.
For self-destruction. Because they already know that our self-esteem is low. And someone with a low self-esteem, you give them something and they're going to use that to destroy themselves and self-destruct, right? And that's why a lot of the things are not accessible to black individuals, because they know, Guti, we are going to thrive, or we are going to take up spaces in those things. There are no golf, golf range, because there aren't all these positive things.
But also, Noma's corner says more, because already you have these addicts, addicts and whatnot. when there are those facilities,
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
But now also the people now who are still they are to be blamed as well.
Exactly.
If the owner is scrapyard and people come with like illegal stuff, but
but wait, uyamblame the person lo muntu oyilethile lento ulambile kokuqala, and secondly they have an addiction to thingy, you know, they have an addiction to fulfill. Sesikhuluma ngabo nyabe. Now, like we're talking about the extreme cases.
Sure.
I don't know if I've seen an alcoholic a petty team by Okalisa, but
sure.
Yeah,
but this is quite, it's so deep because now there's so many elements to it. For me, it's like there's also the emotional element to it. There's also the unemployment element to it. And we haven't even discussed the health risks because Gulama Trip House now, they are young girls who are addicted. And they
share needles. Can we get into part 2?
Not even just needles.
Let's get into part 2. Yeah.
So another thing, like I was saying, there's so many role players now in this thing, and there's so many key aspects to it that we need to also consider. We need to consider the economic side of it. And obviously, yes, that might be one of the things, but also it's someone who's unemployed. They'll want a quick fix, and then they'll want quick bucks.
So it's crime,
right?
Yeah.
2, there's also the health aspect of it, where if you then can't afford this, Trip House, there's these young girls, where bona sebe exposed, they share needles or they share whatever they need to share, right? So there's also the emotional aspect of it on the people that are surrounding this individual who's an addict, where now we are also in distress. We also don't trust you. We also have we can't asiko safe because we don't know and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And that's for me the biggest one, because then it affects not only just you now, it affects everyone
around you.
2,
and people genuinely care about you.
Now you then neglect your family, you neglect the things that you're supposed to.
Or you're disowned.
Yeah. And then now, let's say for instance, you are someone in a community who has kids or who has a specific job and whatnot.
You have to neglect.
And then now there's also that neglect that is happening where you don't spend time with your kids are affected by this and stuff like that.
And this is long-term trauma
and
for your
kids. And this is just long-term trauma for your kids, because we know a lot of people are mawabo or bababo who were alcohol addicts, who were never at home.
Yeah, who are drug addicts.
Drug addicts who were never at home.
They never had a parent figure.
You never had a parent figure. You never had someone who's going to assist you do homework, who's going to sort of give you direction in terms of life and guide you. Someone who's going to be there for you, right? So it also dissembles the family structure on its own, because there's you, the addict, and there's the family, right? And this is the part I also like to urge people is don't give up on people. And I'm not saying but I'm saying it becomes really painful when something happens to these people and you had a chance to intervene, right?
But also, don't you think that you only have so much power in that person's life?
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, that individual who's an addict or whatever has a choice, right? If they wanted to, they would. If they want to stop.
But is it a choice though? Is it because addiction feels like it's you want to stop the thing, but your body and your mind are telling you something else. And I might be wrong, because addiction is different for a lot of people. But I think a lot of people get to a point where it's like, I know what I'm doing is wrong. I want to stop. But I can't.
And also...
I can't because I don't have free will to say, stop and I'm
No,
shy.
but you do have... That's the thing.
But that's...
You
well,
do
according to you, that's the
will.
thing. According to you, your body is saying you can't stop because this keeps you a certain way. Okay. And a lot of people, when it comes to substance abuse, is, like I said, it's a form of mask because it masks the parts of you that are inadequate. When you consume this thing, you feel a certain way. You feel happy. When you consume alcohol, you feel excited. You're alive and stuff like that. And abonyaupe, for them, maybe it's a switch. I feel so much pain, so I just need to switch off. And
I just have to be numb.
I just have to be numb to pain, right? And
numb to everything.
And
numb all my senses and numb everything. And just...
And I wish we had someone who deals with, like, who's a therapist or who's a psychologist who can sort of break this down. Right? Who can break what addiction is for people and how they react.
And how they behave in those states.
And stuff like that. Because I've had conversations with people where they say, we want to stop and we see that we are hurting people, but we can't.
And also they're just tired of that feeling of always being high. They're like, emotionally
I'm just tired of being in the state, but I can't stop, right? So, like I said, there's so many role players. So I went down a rabbit hole. There's so many key factors that we need to consider, that it's not just a bottom thing or unemployment thing, but there's so many other parts of it that we have not really unpacked.
Yeah. And the biggest one is really the family. Sure. Because would you fault the family for losing hope on a person? Because how do we live with a person who we can't trust? Because they steal things, and the people, especially, and I'm talking this is like extreme case.
Sure.
You're an addict, and they don't want you anymore. You're using whatever types of drugs. But now the only way to hustle is to hustle again. Every time you go back home, you steal something, you take something, or you emotionally, because I know people who emotionally blackmail their parents.
Sure.
They're like, when ungenzelanga, so only pay 20 rand.
Sure.
But we also, and it's there's also that element, So I don't know, what did you want to say?
But also, even with people who are, because we also need to talk about the people who then go and get and then fix themselves up. They go to rehabs and stuff like that. My thing is, there aren't even enough support structure for them to get into programs, because I know if we are in rehab, then you then have to still go to these meetings and stuff like that. It's a perpetual thing, and they always say that once you're an addict, you'll always be an addict, not in a bad way, but you then need to figure out and say, that's why there's a statement, hi, I'm an alcoholic, mang, even though they are working towards not being an alcoholic, because for them it's a journey, right? And I feel like as in now, I'm a support structure around us.
Support programs
to say, these people now have been reformed and these people are now back in the community. But what can then we do to make sure that they don't go back? Should we introduce them to programs that are going to keep them physically fit, mentally sharp, who are also going to give them income to then better their lives, or give them education, give them health advice or something to say, in fact, you don't have to live the same as you used to before, right? And I've then fault the government on that. I can't fault anyone else, because if you're then going to say rehab, and then after rehab, you don't have a mechanism or a system that is going to then take all these people. It's like people from prison. If there needs to be something that reforms them, or something that allows them to transition back into the community, to say, okay, what can we do now to keep you busy? What can we do so that you don't go back? And that is purely the government's fault. It's purely our leaders' fault, purely the council's fault, and all these other things. Because there are no forums.
Because eventually when that person is rehabilitated, or they will fall back, because again, there's nothing to do. There's no jobs. There's nothing to do. They have to find their purpose. There's no show. And you come back to the same neighborhood with the same people, who introduced you to the same thing that destroyed
you.
And
you interact with them because it's normal for you. You can't be an island.
It's difficult to make new friends because the new people will still have this past identity of you. I went about mama drugs in.
Sure.
The old people will still be druggy. So you find yourself in a position where you are like you don't fit in.
You don't
fit in.
Yeah. And socially, then you are excluded from.
And socially,
that's why I'm saying
again,
these programs are meant to sort of transition you from being an addict to the community, back to the community, to say, now you're a member of the community who's sober. You must then behave a certain way, right? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but I also wanted to discuss the fact that, what I was searching for, I was just doing a bit of Google search to search for support programs for mental health, mental wellness. Do you know, Guti, how hard it is to find those programs? And you don't find them, you find them in affluent places. It's a hospital in Tembisa or Charlotte Matlog or wherever. But the people that need those services the most don't have access to them. And they're telling you that, no, you can call an online what. But we know, Guti, if you're in that situation, you don't want to call someone over the phone. You want to have a conversation like this and attend those things, because for you it's a form of a schedule. It's like going to school. So you're relearning how to not be an addict. And I realize zonke lezi lama programs that aren't if they are around in my location, they are not accessible to people, or people don't know.
They're underfunded, understaffed. Basically, it's they don't have the resources to accommodate the capacity of people that they need to that need to come into those things.
Sure.
Because there's so many people, and very there are a lot of people who are like like it's just tiring, know. But just due to the lack of resources, I hate blaming the government.
I do. I also do.
I think that's taking away power from us. But I think we at Lapo.
But also, we are operating from a minimum. We're operating from less.
Can we blame the people? How do we say we blame the government? Because that is the very person who wants us to self-destruct. So in as much as we can say, hi, Lapo, say, blame, they won't change anything.
Facts.
They won't change it.
Because
that's what they want. They want us to self-destruct so that they can be in power forever and for us not to be able to participate in the economy, right?
And knowing our government, there's no such thing as accountability.
Okay.
I've been watching the parliament debates, and I'm just like,
it's just clowns.
Yeah, no. Our people are in distress, and our people are lost, and our people don't have.
Yes, we have to build a generation great center. We have so much to do.
We have so much to do
as a community.
So we must find as a community, as Gen Grey community. We need sponsorships. We need sponsorships, man.
I guess we because we are we. So I think also the other thing is a lot of people are so far-fetched from this, they don't really know how much it impacts it. Because
exactly,
it impacts and affects thingy. We can talk about the K flats and say, no, you are not close to reality. If you're close, you'd want change also.
Sure.
And if you're someone who sees positive in people, sees the best side of people, you'd say, no, we can do better as a community, as a country, as a nation.
Someone was saying something about and was like, this is a great business acumen, because umuntu ufuna ukubhema, so the ones that are also bakoleka amathini, bakoleka amabhodlela and stuff like that, and then they know ukuthi bakalisa on which days bawathola kanjani, and they go bayothengisa lezo zinto. I'm speaking for people who are addicted to substance abuse, but they have means and ways in which they can get money. I can say legally, or I can say so labantu laba, they have sort of like a business structure, a business, some form of business acumen, because
and discipline for
discipline, right? So there's that discipline, whether you look at it from another angle or not, it's still business, because we are tata mabhodlela, uthathe amathini and whatnot, uyokalisa uthole imali, and then you go.
So they're cognizant of
the fact that we can actually make money, and no one is there to say, but have you thought about using that skill to better your life, right? Because there's no one who's going to do that for you.
Anyway. And also, I think we're also forgetting the people who actually went to like university, they have qualifications and they can't get a job. And that's also pain. I thought this was going to be a way out for my family, but now I have to dig bins, and have this addiction and drug
another thing also. It's just unfortunately the topics that we talk about also interlinks with each other, because now also social media is there, and you're looking at people doing amazing. You're like, what's the point? Like I'm stuck in this thing where I can't get employed, and Mang is doing something like that, and that's the thing about also social media is you only see the results, you don't see the hardships, and people are very comfortable showing you that they are at Durban July and they're doing 1, 2, 3, but no one shows you. They show you enough for you to think that they're doing well. Ganti, 7 years of success, 7 years of working hard is 7 minutes on social media.
That's true.
So we also that's why I was saying to you that there's also that element. There's so many role players and there's so many key elements to it, that it's emotional distress, it's socially, financially, all these things, unemployment, all these things just come down to the black person.
Bro,
and then they just
and it's so painful to see umuntu bawukhula nadlala naye diski in that state, you know. And also, let's talk about the guys who are in denial. There are people the alcoholics are in denial because bona bazije ukuthi bangcono now, but they have to zonke
siyafaka zonke lapha.
Yawupe
groove culture
is
man.
Groove culture an addiction though? Going out every weekend, I know, I doubt it is. I think the problem is when so puzu one, like, you know, so shalutagi. I think that's when the problem is.
But you see, that by definition is problematic because we always make exceptions for certain things.
I mean, it is an addiction. It is. No, groove is not an addiction.
Your finances. You spoke about finances.
I think also that's why I was saying that you can define it.
Can we also include like the frequency of, because groove is like once, twice, 4 times a month. You have to go out.
4 times a month.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
And a weekend is how many days?
2 days.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Monday.
So R&B Tuesday.
But anyway, but like I said, guys, we're also trying to figure it out, because I mean we are also in this system and we are also not we're also asikho solo, you know. So we've also sort of been in situations.
So before we close, what does accountability look like? What does transformation look like? What do we have to do to get out of this substance abuse, and what do we do to stop using substance abuse as a crutch for our problems? What does accountability look like? What do you think?
I think for me, accountability looks like being in a space that allows you to make that choice to be accountable. So if the environment for me, if I want to quit and I want to stop doing something, and the environment does not allow me to do that, I will not do that, right? So I feel like, and that's why I'm saying role players, I'll keep saying that over and over again. There's so many key elements to it. I can try and be accountable, but the environment does not allow me to be accountable. Another thing about addiction, and this is what I'm saying to people, is that the first step to realizing, and they say this a lot, and a lot of people that are addicted always get annoyed. The first step is admitting that you have a problem, and then we can find solutions. Because once you admit, you then are saying, oh, help me, Ngobi, to beat this thing, or help me to understand how I can go around it and how I can get assistance, right? So that's it for me. admit that you have a problem and say, look, this is affecting me this way. Can you please assist? What does that look like for you?
Again, I think for me, I think, again, it goes back to us participating in the economy. A person who does not have a purpose is dangerous, because they basically like an aimless arrow,
Sure.
So I think that aimlessness is what drives people to escape with everything,
sure.
and use ihabli, because some 16-year-olds, I've seen 13-year-olds, so it's starting also earlier on. And where does that come from? Again, it comes from their parents having similar addictions. It's not good. It's not good that we're passing on such detrimental behaviors, to the next generation. I think accountability also is just like us also taking back our power,
and definitely.
And building the Generation Great Center.
Yeah, that's still coming. So guys,
in the next 10 years or something.
Guys, please do interact with us. Like I said, with these conversations, we also don't know everything. So we also rely on you guys to tell us, Guti, look, there's an aspect of it that you guys did not cover, and it relates to 1, 2, 3, because this is a very broad topic to cover, and we might be speaking as outsiders, or we might be speaking as from a different place. So this gives us an opportunity to get your perspectives and then see what we can do with that. But
street interviews.
We are going to street interviews now. Big shout out to you guys. Continue liking, subscribing, and following these semi-mediocre intelligent conversations. Shout out. Nandi. Sure. Tina C Generation Great Podcast, and I'm street interviews like so namhlanje sikhuluma nge-substance abuse. So ngokwazi kweni mhlawumbe substance abuse ngayini?
Okay, mina ngasho ukuthi substance abuse is someone who is taking something that is addicted on. Mhlawumbe for example, umuntu usanda utshwala, umuntu obhemayo, you see.
Sure.
Mina I'm addicted to drugs, which is mbhema inyawupi.
Sure.
Like it's
all right.
It's something else.
All right. Wena mpesa ngokwakho now, do you share the same view or kanjani?
Sure, ngokwazi kwami substance abuse it's whereby si abuser different substances like drugs, utshwala.
Sure. Nazo zonke mfethu lezi izinto ngiyazi ziningi.
Yeah, sure. Zipaya khutmandami.
Sure. Do you mhlambe ungasitshela ukuthi why ufila mhlambe addicted, or mhlambe ungene kanjani kuyo le substance? Mhlambe khona ama reasons ongawabeka or kanjani uthi ngiqale ngapha ku?
Alright khutmandami, mina ukuqala kwami it was about a lack of support khutman yabo.
Sure.
Sharp ejardini like bebangangisupporti. Into nebhaye ngizenzayo yabo. Ngidlalile ibhola, ngiyenzile music. Yabo nasesigela fere bengipusha grand now matric, but still I had no support khutman lami yabo. Which it led me ukuthi ngigcine sengibhema.
Yabo. But is it the same case for you as well?
Yeah, it's different, because I had a friend who I trust. I didn't know he was taking drugs.
Sure.
So I wanted to know ukuthi like yini le ayenzayo esayidini. So ngamlandelela only to find out ukuthi lo muntu lona usebenzisa ama drugs.
Okay.
So njengoba sebenzisa ama drugs kanje nami ngathi hayi man asingizwe lento le ukuthi njani, only to find out ukuthi hayi akusinto ezongiphatha grand, into ezongixabanisa nefamily yami. Keeps her like away from family yami ngimoshela impilo.
Do you mhlambe ukhona mhlambe into ongasho ukuthi isifiso sakho ukuthi mhlambe ufuna ukuphuma or kanje ngokwakho? Do you think mhlambe ungakhona ukuphuma ufuna usizo kanjani. Have you tried something mhlambe ukuthi uthola ufuna usizo or mhlambe uresearch ngayo lento ukuthi ngingakwazi ukuphuma kanjani?
Several times.
All right.
But into engiyibonayo like I must be true to myself kahle.
Sure.
Njoba ngithi several times shuthi I wasn't honest ngempilo yami. I was like shuthi bengenzela abazali bami kahle. Bengazenzeli for mina yabo. So I must found it deep in my heart ukuthi yazini ngamampela I really want to do this. I really want to leave ama-drugs because there is no life there.
Sure.
There is no life.
Sure. Mhlambe amakhona, are there any effects mhlambe owabonayo enzekayo because of mhlambe isimo kuso manje ukuthi lento mhlambe khona into ekuvimba ukuthi uyenze or mhlambe khona into obonayo ukuthi ama-drugs angidelayile ukuthi ngiyi-obtain into kanjalo?
Ayizibhaya futhi ngalami. Mina mengingasho nje nginometric vele ngabe ngiyasipana. I should be fanga music wami izibhaya izinto kumele ngabe ngiyasitshuna yabo. And they know like angina fokon, angina next, angina ncosi, angina nix ngiyinja nje. It's because of ama-drugs. I can't even angikwazi nokuma no share nje 1 hour. Yeah.
All right. No, Machita, it's fine. I think so by in contact because mhlambe we might work ukuthi simtholele the corner. That's also if you are willing. Yabo. But njoba nisho ukuthi sifiso sikhona ne willingness ikhona. So I think mhlambe nathola mangathole leyo support le ukuthi at least ngithola umuntu ozonisa. There are a lot of people bese abaphumile. Mina engibaziyo personally, abaphumile kulento le. And ngifuna encourage nje uMajita mase seni ready uzonikeza ama number lomjita, ngithatha ama number and then we can find a program ezokwazi ukuthi rehabilitate. But also it must come from you, yabo. Right. So once you guys are ready, so nikeza ama number and then we can see what is up lento le. Ngiyabonga kodwa bafethu ngokunika le interview. I know it's not easy ukuthi niz express kanje on camera, but ngibonga nje isikhathi senu sokuthi nikwazi ukuthi nikhulume nathi. Sure Machita. Ngibonga. Sure mfethu.
Sure brother njani?
Mnandi mfethu, how's introduce?
Mina nguNhlale Ndlongazwane Sibongo mfethu.
Mangethe.
Yeah, Ntshosho ithi la. Yeah.
Mfethu lalela last khuluma enye into mfethu, and I think as umjita mfethu ohlala vele eKasi, you might have an idea and uyabona mfethu isimo sinjani via substance abuse, and substance abuse bala utshwala, drugs, zonke lezi zinto yabo, even nezest yabo. Ngokwakho umbono mhlambe yini substance abuse nokuthi mhlambe singaphuma kanjani kuyo?
Ngokwami umbono nje ubusushela ukuthi substance abuse usuke sikhuluma izinto ezinjengama drugs, utshwala nazo zonke ne, but ngokubona kwami bese kuyi abuse ngokwami it's whereby so uyisebenzisa kakhulu, yabo lonto le, so obsessed ngayo. So ngendlela okwenzakala ngayo, ngendlela engibona ngayo futhi substance abuse ngendlela okwenzakala ngayo la lokushini, abantu bazithola wena body sebenza lento sebe obsessed ngase yenzeni, sebenza bekhohle mhlambe ngamaphupha abo, ivision ngazo zonke lezo zinto, ambition, so icrash into ezinjalo. And ngokwami ukubona nje mhlambe ngasho ukuthi kule environment engikuyo i-substance abuse ngendlela esekungayo manje ezinye izinto ezicontribute kuyo futhi abantu njenge-youth especially stress esicausa unemployment, yabo lonto abantu nje abanayipani, so abanye bazama ukusebenzisa ama-drugs as indlela ezobenza ukuthi bekhohle nga that particular situation abakuyo. But then ifana nokuthi nje angikholwa ukuthi khona umuntu ovuka ekseni mhlawumbe nge-first day yakhe ngifuna ukubhema ama-drugs, kunento esuke imlidele lapho ukuthi abantu bago through ama-situations angafani nabo empilweni, but then omunye uthola ukuthi seka-trapped. Abanye bawish ukuphuma lapho, but nezinto nje ezenzakala mhlawumbe ukulekha kosizo, maybe government wise ngayibeka kanjalo because i-youth yasafara, unemployment is too high, and lezo zinto zisikhozela ezinye izinto because like akekho futhi umuntu ongathi nga-understand besides in youth. So that's why abantu they go for ama-drugs, bezama ukwenza ukuthi bekhohlwa leso sikhathi. Abanye they make living through ama-drugs, which is not right, but then bayabona ukuthi government is not helping yabo. So nje kuningi ukucontribute to i-drug substance and abuse, yabo lonto le.
Ampano wayibeka so ngokwakho mfethu, do you feel ukuthi mhlawumbe i-government is not doing enough? Because since ukhulumile nge-unemployment, uthe ukuthinta kancane kwa-unemployment, do you think mhlawumbe i-government should mhlawumbe ifaka isandla kuma programs athile noma mhlawumbe ukuthi lawo ma programs ngeke asisize wena mhlawumbe ubona kanjani?
Sure, mina ngibona ukuthi amanye ama programs government manga provide ngawo ngaba helpful or useful to abantu abanjenge youth kakhulu because yibo kahle kahle dominantly nje iba bakuma drugs kakhulu yabo lonto le. So mangaba nama organization mhlambe afundisa okanye mhlambe akhipha abantu abasha busy nokubafundisa nje ezinye izinto noma ngaphandle wespan voluntarily nje abantu beyovolunteer ukuthi okay guys asambe sema orphanage home socenta senze lonto yabo for leso sikhathi yabo 4 hours imkhulu wenza into yokubhizi ngapha then mawuhlela ungenzi lutho yabo lonto le. So ezinye zezinto zingasiza mfethu yabo into enjalo nje mfethu government mayengazama ukuprovide nje mfethu ipan maybe ama projects singasasho mhlamba sesha ama projects lawo ezopana ukuthi okay mhlambe 12 months 6 months lezoyipana hayi ama permanent job as such ukuthi kube khona lokwenzalayo umuntu engahlali isikhathi singa ngo5 years engasebenza yabo lonto le but kube khona nje angazi ukuthi ngayichaza kanjani kodwa nje
hayi kodwa mfethu uyichazile wa rap ngiyabonga mfowethu. Sho mfethu njani?
Ngiyaphila bhuti unjani wena?
Ngiyaphila mina ngiyakwazi but our viewers abakwazi mhlawumbe ungazi introduce.
Mina ngumbuso Maseko mfethu.
All right, sho mbuso. So namhlanje bese discussa topic engathi ithe kuba sensitive and I think sensitive for a lot of people. It pertains to substance abuse, any form of substance abuse, it be alcohol, drugs, whatever substance that's not good for you. So when ungakwazi kwakho mhlambe yini substance abuse?
Oh, first and foremost, I'm recovering a drug abuse. Ngisebenzisa crystal meth. Ngisebenzisa khona bayibiza indanda.
Sure.
So substance abuse into nje yokuqhelaza umzimba.
Sure.
Into nje engana way forward but ekugcineni nje yona angifuni ucamamanga amnandi ama drugs kulabo abanye abantu but ekugcineni they don't benefit into yenza nje ayamosha.
Sure. So mhlambe as someone who's from outside now who's viewing the situation ngaphandle ngoba usuphumile, what do you think is the trigger for yona le abuse le and how can we overcome mhlambe le nkinga lesinayo?
Trigger ekhona it's people place things.
Sure.
People abantu osurroundene nabo kahle kahle.
Sure.
Izinto ozenzayo nendawo ozihambayo like abanye abangani nje you don't need ukuthi ube nabo because of bajuthana ngamanguviyasi into ebhedayo.
Sure.
Indawo lezi sizihamba eziningi nje kunama trap house like us first thing.
Sure.
We have a trap house into emeli ivalwe.
Sure.
You understand? I-community nenhle ikasi kumele bazi la kune trap house khona kumele basukuma abantu balapho bayovala leyo ndlu leyo because le ndlu leyo kusho ukuthi indlu nganamthetho and abaningi abantu abasazongena bamosheke. So we need to deal ngama trap house nje kuphela.
All right. So so you are a success story because umuntu ophumile who's doing very well for themselves manje, you're employed. What do you think is the trick in terms of ukuphuma kule nto le? Do you think kumele uthole support ethile or the institution ongaya kuyo ukuthi uthole usizo? How can you advise? Let's say for instance I'm an addict and you want to advise me, what is the method?
Method ukuthi oqala uthole support.
Sure.
Thola abantu abazokwazi ukuthi support bakuyise lapho abantu azothi noma uphuma bakwazi ukuthi bakunakekele because of akukho lulu ukuphuma. As nami kanje you took me to rehab.
Yeah.
No bafo.
Sure.
Then nakunamhlanje right.
Bafo uyazazi
ulunga hlashwayo.
Sure.
So lento leyo like into esidingayo ukuthi umuntu umise then umnike support ekugcineni because of mawumisile ungamnike support ekugcineni uzobuyela.
All right. So indawo mfethu ngasho ukuthi abantu baye khona because remember we want now the process and step by step ukuthi kahle wena wenza kanjani yini indawo mhlawumbe abantu abangaya kuyo iprocess yakho ihamba kanjani?
Okay, first thing umele uyenze umele uye ezola office ufike ufune social worker lelo lizoku refer to lizokwenzela green file then li refer to clinic for a medical assessment. After medical assessment yakho then you go back to social worker lelo then likunikeze futhi like ukuthi uhambe lizokutshela ukuthi uhambe uye inaleli police station uyenza affidavit lapho kulapho ucela khona ugovernment ukuthi ucela kubhadalele for yonke process leyo uzoyihamba. Then uba ku waiting list ke lapho then bazoku accepta la mina ngangikhona kwaku sister funding psychiatric hospital.
Sure. Ngiyabonga mfethu ukuthi uze ukwazi ukuthi ushare le information that I know it's not easy. Sibonge futhi nokuba available ukuthi usinikeze le information freely. Sibonga kakhulu.
Bonga mina bhuti.
Sure.